So yesterday we were discussing torque, right? So yesterday we were discussing about torque, and we did a problem also based on it, where it is the vector sum of, it is a vector product of R and F, where R is the distance from the axis of rotation and F is the force at which is applied to the particle. Right. So I hope you guys are able to see. I've shared the screen.
Yes, sir.
Listen to it. See? So this is what I explained yesterday. Torque is equal to R vector cross F vector. Right. So we need to first understand its significance. I've already explained what is moment of force. So moment of force is what we saw when we discussed about center of mass and saw the derivation, right? Right. So I will explain another concept, then I'll show you how exactly you're supposed to visualize it. Okay. So right now the heading is principle of moments. See, for this chapter alone, don't refer to the textbook because it's in completely different order from what I'm teaching. You just go in the order in which I'm teaching, you'll understand better. Okay. So principle of moments is the next topic. So write it down. Under balanced condition, if the sum of all clockwise moments is equal to the anti-clockwise moments, remove the word if. Under balanced condition, the sum of all clockwise moments is equal to the anti-clockwise moments. This is what is called as principle of moments. Okay. So what do you mean by balanced condition? We have heard this word balanced already. So when I say balanced condition, we say that the object is in translational equilibrium and rotational equilibrium. So when I say translational equilibrium, the body does not move. When I say rotational equilibrium, the body does not rotate. So when these two things are happening simultaneously, then that is what we call it as under balanced condition. So under balanced condition, what is going to happen is the sum of all the clockwise moments will be equal to the anti-clockwise moment. That is going to be the statement for the principle of moments. Okay. Now listen. So what I've done is I've taken a problem, say. Now, look at this 7.8. Wait. Yes. So look at this problem, 7.17. There's a simpler one. First we will do this, then we'll go to the next part. So here the question is, this is from your NCERT textbook. There is a meter stick. There is a meter stick that is balanced. So there is a meter stick that is balanced on a knife edge at its center. Okay. So what do you mean by meter stick? a stick which is of 1 meter length. So it is balanced on a knife edge at its center. When two coins each of mass 5 kilogram are put one on top of the other at a distance 12 centimeter mark, the stick is found to be balanced at 45 centimeter. The question is, what is the mass of the meter stick? Okay. So before we solve this, let's first visualize it. So I'm going to show you how it is going to look. Are you guys able to see me?
Yes, sir.
Now see, this is a meter stick, okay? This is a meter stick which is balanced at its center with a knife edge. It is happening because, see, instead of placing the knife edge, I'm balancing it like this. Are you guys able to visualize this? Now, what will happen if I take a coin and place on top of the other side? If I place two coins, am I able to balance it? Okay. So initially, there's a meter stick exactly at 50 centimeter reading from 0 and from 100. It is able to get balanced because its mass is concentrated exactly at the center, so it is balanced. I'm holding it at its center of mass. That's why they told it is exactly balanced at the center. Now, if I place a coin like this, which is at a distance of 12 centimeter, if I place weight like this, what will happen? You're able to see what is going to happen. So it is no more balanced, right? Because under balance condition, what is supposed to happen? It should not rotate. When you keep it like this, it is going in the downward direction. So to balance this, what we are going to do is, I cannot hold it here anymore. Rather, I will shift my position this side, so that when I shift it to the other side, see, without my knowledge, it is going like this. So to balance that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the coins. Are you guys able to visualize this?
Yes, sir.
Right? This is what the question is. So if I hold it at 45 centimeter, it will rotate like this. To balance it, the coins are placed at what distance? At a distance of 12 centimeter from 0 reading. That is a meaning. Okay. Now see. Now see. This is 0. At 12 centimeter, what is placed? There are two 5-gram coins which are placed one on top of the other. And where is the knife edge moved? So initially it was at 50. It is moved by a distance of 5 centimeter to the left. Right? So what is the mass of the meter stick? How do we solve this, guys? Now, what are all the forces acting on the system? Okay. So here, what is the force that is going to act? If I take mass of each coin to be m, if I take the mass of each coin to be small m,
MG,
which is
sir.
nothing but 5 gram. Think and tell me. If I take mass of each coin as m, then what will be the total weight acting due to the coins? It is 2 mg because there are two coins. Right? So if I take small m as mass of coin and capital M as mass of rod or scale, then where will the total mass of the rod be concentrated? Where will the total mass of the rod be concentrated, guys? I've asked a simple question. Where is the total mass of the rod concentrated? Exactly at its center. So capital Mg. Now this whole system is trying to rotate about this axis. So this is the axis of rotation. So yesterday I told you another formula for moment. What is it? It is force into perpendicular distance. Okay. Force into perpendicular distance. Now the question is, this 2 mg is it causing clockwise moment or anti-clockwise moment? In the sense, is it making the whole system rotate clockwise or anti-clockwise?
Anti-clockwise, sir.
So it will happen anti-clockwise. This capital Mg is trying to put the object into which rotation? Into clockwise rotation. So 2 mg will cause anti-clockwise rotation, and capital Mg will cause clockwise rotation. Okay. So observe, 2 mg multiplied with this distance. So how much is this distance? Can you tell me? See, 45 is here. This is 45. And this is 12. 32. So how much is it? Yes. So 2 mg multiplied with 33 will be equal to capital Mg multiplied with capital Mg is at how much distance from the axis of rotation?
5.
It is 5. So G and G will get cancelled. 2 into 5 grams is 5 into 10 power minus 3 into 33 is equal to 5 into capital M. What is the value of capital M? That is what you need to find. So capital M, 5 and 5 are gone. 66 into 10 power minus 3 is equal to capital M. So capital M will be 66 grams. So the mass of the scale is exactly how much? 66 grams. So what I have applied here is, this is what is called as principle of moments. Did you guys understand what you're supposed to do? Write it down. Let me know once you're done. Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now listen. I'll give you another problem. You people try it out and tell me. So there is a rod which is hinged at its center. M1, M2, M3, M4 and M5. Okay, which are at distances x1, x2, x3, x4, and x5 from the center. Under balanced condition, write down the relation between all the masses and distances.
So can I say the question again, sir?
Under balanced condition, write the relation between all the masses and displacement distances. So it's one step. So what is the answer? It's one step.
M1 x1 plus M2 x2 equal to M3 x3 plus M4 x4 plus M5 x5.
That's it. M3 x3 plus M4 x4 plus M5 x5. That's it. Under balance condition, what did we say? Sum of all the anti-clockwise moments. So here, which forces are responsible for anti-clockwise?
M1g and M2g.
M1g and M2g are responsible for anti-clockwise. Similarly, M3, M4 and M5 are responsible for clockwise. Okay. Now see, I'm slightly changing the problem. Now observe. Now under balance condition, write the relation between M1, M2, F1, F2 and X1, X2 and Y1, Y2. So what is the answer? Guys, speak up, please.
Sir, I'm not sure of it.
You tell me, but it's fine.
I got m1 x1 minus f1 y1 equal to m2 x2 minus f2
M1?
x1 m1
Not the
y1
M1 X. Ah.
minus f1 x1 equal to m2 y2 minus f2 x2.
That's right. Everything is right. You need to be confident. That's it. So under balance condition, again, what are all the anti-clockwise moments that are happening? M1G is going to cause anti-clockwise moment. F2 will cause anti-clockwise moment. Right? F1 will cause clockwise moment, and M2G will cause clockwise moment. So M1G into Y1 plus F2 into Y2 is equal to F2 into X2 M1G into Y1 plus F1 into X1. Okay, if you rearrange it, whatever you wrote is right. So it's the same thing again. Okay. So this is all about anti-clockwise and clockwise moment. I hope you guys were able to visualize something, right? To some extent. You need to practice more problems. Okay. Now comes the next concept that is called as rotational, or we call it as equilibrium. So the next concept is about equilibrium. So when I say equilibrium, the object is in both translatory as well as rotational equilibrium. Okay, translatory as well as rotational equilibrium. For translatory equilibrium, sum of all the forces must be zero. For rotational equilibrium, sum of all the torque must be zero. Okay, because torque is responsible for rotation and force is responsible for linear motion. Now observe. I will directly explain with the problem. See, you guys need to concentrate. This is a slightly tricky problem. Concentrate. See the question. See, these are all very small concepts. The only thing is you need to understand application. That is why I'm discussing so many problems. So if there is any doubt, get it clarified. So there is a non-uniform bar of weight W that is suspended at rest. Okay, at rest means equilibrium. So there is a non-uniform bar of weight W that is suspended at equilibrium by two strings of negligible weight as shown. Means the strings do not have any weight associated with them. The angles made by the strings with the vertical are 36.9 degrees, which can be approximated to 37 degrees, and here it is 53.1 degrees, which can be approximated to 53 degrees. The bar is 2 meters long. Calculate the distance d from the center of gravity of the bar from its left end. So you need to calculate the distance d where the whole weight of the rod is concentrated. That is what is called as center of gravity. So try to understand the difference. Center of mass is the point where the whole mass is concentrated. Center of gravity is the point where the whole weight of the system is concentrated. Okay. So here they have used the word equilibrium. So equilibrium means, what did I say? It has to be a translatory as well as rotational equilibrium. Okay. Now observe. If I draw this diagram, this is 37 and this is 53 degrees. Okay. Its weight is W and the distance is going to be d. If I take it like this, okay. So here there will be tension T, and here also there will be a tension T. So there is a mistake in the diagram, correct it. There is a mistake in the diagram, correct it.
So is it the 2 meter?
2 meter is given in the diagram. I'm not talking about the diagram, the one which I drew, there is a mistake I did. This 2 meter and all are correct. There is a deliberate mistake that I've done. Sorry, somebody told. Can you be more confident?
T1, T2.
That's right. So the tensions are different. Unless you guys are going to speak, I will not proceed. I'll be sitting idle. T1 and T2. Okay, that's right, because they both are different strings. So if this is 53 degrees, this is also 53 degrees. This is going to be 37 degrees. Right? So tension is neither along x direction nor y direction. So it has to be balanced. I mean, it has to be resolved. So for resolving it, what will be the upward force? What will be the force acting in this direction? And what will be the horizontal force? I've asked a simple question.
It's sine
What is the
theta.
upward?
Upward.
Sorry, upward.
Upward is T sine theta.
T1.
Sine theta.
Where is the angle? Where is the angle? Angle is with the tension, right? It is going to be cos 37. So T1 cos 37, and this one will be T1 sin 37. Similarly, T2, if you resolve it into two components, what will be the upward component?
T2 cos 50.
And the other one will be?
T2 sine 50.
Yes. So, for equilibrium, which equilibrium? For translational equilibrium, observe. For translational equilibrium, can I say sum of all the forces along y direction is 0 and sum of all the forces along x direction is 0? Because I told for translational equilibrium, sum of all the forces must be 0. So what are all the forces acting along y direction?
T1 cos 37 and T2 cos 50.
Plus T2 cos 37. Right. That's it, huh?
So T2 cos 53.
53, sir.
Okay. Okay, T2 cos 53. Then? Is equal to what?
Weight.
That's right. Is equal to the weight of the object. That will be equation number 1. Similarly, for sigma fx to be 0. See, I'm doing nothing but applying Newton's third law. So sigma fx is 0. Tell me.
T1
T1 sine
T1 sine
37.
Hmm.
T2
T1
sin
sine 37.
T
What is there? Should I write some difference? What should I?
minus
953.
Your voice is breaking. T1 sine 37.
minus
Hmm.
T2
Minus
sin
T2 sine 50. Okay. T1 sine 37 minus T2 sine 53 is equal to what?
wait.
Wait.
0.
It's a 0, sir, because opposite direction is there.
Is equal to 0. So this is all about translational equilibrium, right? So T1 sine 37 is equal to T2 sine 53. Remember, sine 37 is 3 by 5. Sine 53 degrees is 4 by 5. Okay. So sine 37 is 3 by 5. Sine 53 is 4 divided by 5. Similarly, for rotational equilibrium, sum of all the torques should be 0. That is, clockwise torque should be equal to anti-clockwise torque. Now, if I take the central part as O, I'm drawing a free body diagram. Observe. T1 cos 37, T2 sin 37, the rod, sorry, T1, T2 cos 53, T2 sin 53. The weight is acting here. This distance is D, this point is O. That is how the diagram is. Right. If this distance is D, how much is this distance? 2 minus D. For rotational equilibrium about O, for rotational equilibrium about O, what are all the clockwise moments?
W and
Sorry. See, for rotational equilibrium about O means axis of rotation is through O. Okay. Axis of rotation is through point O. Now tell me. So what did I say? Clockwise moment. Moment means force multiplied with perpendicular distance from where? So I'm repeating it again. Listen. Moment is force into perpendicular distance from axis of rotation. Force multiplied with the perpendicular distance from axis of rotation. What did I consider the axis of rotation in this case as? Then W is acting at how much distance from O? Where is W?
Center of
W is acting at which point? W is acting at which point? Then what will be the moment due to W? Force is W, man. What is the perpendicular distance from, or what is the perpendicular distance of W from O?
D.
I asked a very simple question. Where is W acting? Think of my question. Where is W acting? At O.
0.
No. Yes, 0 is the answer. Means what is an important note to be made from here is if there is any force that is passing through the axis of rotation, the torque due to it is 0. Write it down. If the force is acting through the axis of rotation, I'm not using the word center of mass. If the force is acting through the axis of rotation, the torque experienced by that force is 0. Okay. So what are all the forces that will cause the clockwise movement about this point? Which force has it? So you have learned principle of moments. Which force will try to rotate the object in clockwise direction?
T2 cos 53 and T1.
T1 cos 37 will put the object in clockwise rotation. T2 cos 53 will put it in anti-clockwise rotation. Okay. So clockwise movement will only be T1 cos 37 degrees multiplied with the perpendicular distance, that is D. Sorry, this is anti-clockwise. What about clockwise movement? Now tell me. T2 cos 53 multiplied with. So T2 cos 53, yes, that's right. 2 minus D. So for balance condition, what should happen? T1 cos 37 degrees into D should be equal to T2 cos 53 degrees into 2 minus D. Right? Did you guys understand till this point?
Yes, sir.
So let this
Yes,
be
sir.
equation number 3. So we need to solve all the equations to get the answer. See, if sine 37 is 3 by 5, what is cos 37?
4.
Yes. 4 by 5 into D is equal to T2 into, what is cos 53? If sine 53 is 4 by 5, cos 53 will be 3 by 5 into 2 minus D. You can take this also as equation number 3.
Sir, one doubt.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, can you explain why T1 cos theta and plus T2 cos theta is equal to weight, sir?
You should practice Newton's laws of motion. I've told this many times, right? Sum of all the vertical forces in the upward direction should be equal to downward direction. No? T1 cos 37 plus T2 cos 53 is W. That is why I wrote it. Okay. So now listen. T1 sin 37 is equal to T2 sin 53. From 2, T1 sin 37 is equal to T2 sin 53. So T1 into, what is sin 37? That is 3 by 5 is equal to T2 into sin 53 is 4 by 5. So 3 times T1 is equal to 4 times T2, which implies T1 is equal to 4 by 3 times T2. Let this be equation. So using 4 and 3, what do we get? 4 by 3 into T2 into 4 by 5 into D is equal to T2 into 3 by 5 into 2 minus D. So 5 and 5 will get cancelled. T2 and T2 will get cancelled. 16D by 3 is equal to 6 minus 3D, which implies 16D by 3 plus 3D is equal to 6. Okay, how much is this? That is 25D by 3 is equal to 6, which implies D is equal to 18 divided by 25 centimeter. So distance is 18 divided by 25.
0.6.
So it is somewhere around 0.72 centimeter.
Sir, could you go back a little bit?
Which step?
Yes, sir.
Copy it. Done?
Then
Listen. I want you all to try this problem as well. A car weighs 1,800 kilograms. The distance between the front and the back axles is 1.8 meter. Its center of gravity is 1.05 meter behind the front axle. Determine the force exerted by the level ground on each front wheel and each back wheel. Okay, you have a car. Front wheel, back wheel. The distance between the axle is given as 1.8 meter. Its center of gravity is 1.05 meter behind the front axle. So from here, at a distance of how much value? At a distance of 1.05 meter, the whole weight of the car is acting. Okay. Determine the force exerted by the level ground on each of the front wheel and each of the back wheel. So if I call this reaction force as R1 and this reaction force as R2. Okay. So the reaction force R1 is due to how many wheels?
2 weeks.
So reaction force due to the front wheel, if I call it as R1, it is happening due to how many wheels?
2 weeks.
Yes. So sum of both the reaction forces offered by each wheel is equal to R1. Similarly, R2 is the total reaction due to two back wheels. So R1 is okay. Now tell me, a car weighs, the distance is there, determine the force exerted by each. So the car is at rest. It is not moving, right? Now, What are all the forces acting on it? So for if you tell me this, that is more than sufficient. Rotational, I explain. I want you to be perfect with this note. For translational equilibrium, sum of all the forces must be equal to 0. So what are all the forces acting along x direction? That should be 0. Sum of all the forces acting along y direction should be 0. In this case, is there any force that is acting in the x direction?
No, sir.
No. So what is the sum of all the forces acting along y direction? Look at the diagram and tell me.
R1 cos theta plus
R1? R1?
cos
R1 cos. Cos how much?
999.
R1 cos 0.
R1?
Right angle, sir. 90.
Why will you take right angles? See, when will you resolve the vectors into components? When do you know that you're supposed to resolve it into components? When will you resolve them into, when are you going to resolve them into components? I have asked a simple question. Why did we resolve t into components in the previous problem? Why did we do that? See, if you're not going to open your mouth, I'll just cut the call. I'll finish this session. I don't want to talk to systems. You open your mouth and speak. It is then I will understand. And it's not like first time I'm teaching you all these concepts. I've taught you for 4 chapters almost. Still you're making mistake.
Sir, we solve components so that we can resolve a vector component which are right angles.
My question is, when do you know that you're supposed to resolve them into components? I've told this many times. In the previous problem also. No.
And it's between y and x.
Yes, that's the answer. That's it, right? When there is any force which is neither along x direction nor along y direction, you're going to resolve them into components. Do we have any necessity with respect to this problem? See, guys, I can understand rotational equilibrium, you're making mistakes, I can teach you, but translational equilibrium, you're making mistake, I'm not able to digest. Because I've taught this in almost 3 problems. Who's this? Who spoke now?
Atul, sir.
Tell me, R1 plus R2?
Is equal to M.
R1 plus R2 will be equal to?
Mg.
Here there is no Mg, no, I wrote something else. Look at the diagram. Yes. So R1 plus R2 is equal to W. That is what else is there? What is so tough about this? I don't understand. I don't think I can proceed like this. I'll stop the class with this. You people better revise and come. Okay. I can't proceed like this. Chapter is really tough. If you're going to be silent like this, I cannot teach. I'm really sorry about it. You either open your mouth and ask, sir, I didn't understand. I'll happily repeat it. Do you sit silently? What is the meaning of it? I people even on the other side, do I know that? How do you want me to take it? I'm sorry, I'm ending the session. Wait.